This is the Savvy Investor radio show and podcast. For help with your retirement, schedule a 15-minute phone conversation with the team at ProStatus Financial Advisors today. Just call 866-597-1040 and at thesavvyinvestorradio.com.
And welcome back to the Savvy Investor Radio Show and Podcast with Mike Canet and Katherine Groce here at ProStatus Financial. Talking today about some of the issues of retirement. And sometimes what we like to do is look at somebody who's doing it right and see what they're doing. And I got a great story from a guy in Business Insider. This is 87-year-old Rich Colorado. Sounds like a quarterback. What a great name. But Rich is 87 years old. He bowls 3 days a week. He teaches soccer and chess to young people. He takes classes at the community college. He lives a very frugal life, and he's very happy in retirement. He's been in retirement for 22 years. And people ask him his secret. And he said, I'm happy with 5%. Just get me 5% on my money, and I do just fine. Mike, this kind of talks to you don't need $1.8 million to retire, and you don't need to beat the market. You can have a nice life, and just 5% is all he wants.
Well, the reality is Rich did this correctly. He sat down. He created the plan that he wanted to have, right? He decided that this is how much income I'm going to need, and then he made the investments appropriately. So most people come into our office, and they've been working with whomever they're working with, doing it themselves, their 401k, and none of them actually have a plan. They just did this allocation because somebody told them 60-40 or 70-30 or whatever. They took some test and said, here's how much risk you can tolerate. Well, at the end of the day, as a phase 2 fiduciary, it's not really about how much risk you could tolerate. It should be more about how much risk do you have to take in order to create the income, in order to have the lifestyle that Rich wants, right? He wants to teach soccer. He wants to go bowling. He wants to play the guitar. And I would disagree with Rich to some extent that he lives a very frugal lifestyle. It sounds like he lives a very rich style, and he lives the lifestyle that he wants to live. Frugal has such a negative connotation to it. The fact is if you're able to do what you want to do and live the lifestyle and accomplish the goals you want, why would you take excess risk? If Rich is able to create what he needs on a 5% CD, why would he take any risk at all? It's just crazy. There's this guy named Harry Markowitz back in 1950. He got a Nobel Prize, I guess, in 92-ish, for coming up with this concept. It's called modern portfolio theory. And it says if you diversify your investments along non-correlated asset classes, you'll increase your overall return and decrease your risk. And so this is basically industry standard. Everywhere you go, they say follow modern portfolio theory. You'll be fine over time. Just, stick your money in the stock market, diversify your portfolio. And, whenever I hear somebody talking about diversification, I always point out, well, in 2008, everything crashed. Mm-hmm. Modern portfolio theory didn't work so well. You know what happened in 22? Mm-hmm. Everything crashed. Bonds. Our safe money was down 15 to 25%, depending on where you were. The AGG, which is kind of a bond index, it's been down like 1% per year on average over the last decade. How is that a good way to allocate your money? How does that work out for Markowitz? And I'd also point out, in 1950, we were using rotary phones. We had paper maps. Cray computer systems took up probably my entire office space, and it still didn't have enough as much computing power as my little handheld Apple iPhone, right? We were driving DeSoto's and shopping. You had to get dressed up with, high heels and a suit, and you went to the grocery store. That's what you did in 1950. Do you think anything's changed? Well, Rich figured it out. He figured out that life changed. You don't have to take excessive risk. He made the decision, and what's that old saying? You have the dog wag the tail does not wag the dog. Mm-hmm. So if you want to understand what a true financial plan can do for you so that you can truly take the least amount of risk necessary to accomplish your goals, do like Rich did. Pick up the phone, give us a call. Not to be fair, Rich didn't call us, but Rich talked to somebody. So pick up the phone, give us a call, 866-597-1040, 866-597-1040. Sit down with Katherine, myself, Ryan, the whole team here at ProStatus. We will show you how to create income streams like Rich that you will never outlive. We will talk to you about how much you're paying in fees, how much risk you're taking. We're going to talk to you about estate planning, long-term care, and taxes. Want a sure way to increase your overall return? Stop giving it to Uncle Sam. Pick up the phone, 597-1040.
There is so much emphasis on the stock market. And, you may get into retirement and say, I don't want to have anything to do with the stock market. That's okay. Let's figure out what your retirement needs to be and what you need to put the money with the activities. Give us a call. Here's our number, 866-597-1040. If you've saved $500,000 for retirement or more, this is where you're going to start to see the power of planning and tax planning really kick in. Let's talk about what your paycheck is in retirement. Let's get it down on paper. Here's our number again, 866-597-1040. Our website, thesavvyinvestorradio.com. And Catherine, I've got to believe that there are people that come to you in all ways of risk levels. Some people say, yeah, I could lose 10 or 15%. And others say, I don't want to lose a dime. But those people can still have a good retirement, can't they?
Absolutely. I mean, there's some people that come in and they're terrified of the stock market because they experienced years like 2008, 2011, 2015, and then they kind of do themselves a disservice because they're scared of the stock market. So they sit on the sidelines and then they're not making that 4 or 5% to outpace inflation to meet their retirement goals. And then there's other people that come in and they want to make, 15 to 20%, but based off of their income goals, they only need to make that 4 or 5, 6%. So they're actually taking on too much risk to achieve their goals. So it's about finding the right fit based off of your goals. Like Mike said, the dog wags the tail doesn't wag the dog. A lot of people come in and they've met with advisors with the modern portfolio theory techniques, and they have a one size fits all plan. And so when they come to us and we suggest solutions, we can achieve those goals without subjecting your retirement savings to market risk. So there are solutions out there where you can put your money in different vehicles that'll meet your goals without subjecting you to that market risk that many people are afraid of, especially right now. I have a client out in Silver Spring that came to us, and he had been working with several different advisors. Again, he experienced losses in 2008, 2011, 2022. Like Mike said, bonds were down as well as the stock market. And he came to us, and he also had invested in alternative investments that were paying dividends that were, they sign all these disclosures that they're deemed safe, and a lot of those default and they actually lose their principal. So
so I just got to interject.
Okay.
People ask me all the time about those alternative investments, those limited partnerships. And I've been doing this for over 30 years. And I'm not sure that I can count on one hand. I'm not sure I have one hand worth of those things that I have seen that have actually done what they were supposed to do, and the people got their money back at some point. I mean, those alternative investments, I get it. They're sexy. They're attractive. They look really cool. But try to extricate yourself. And that's what you're saying happened to your client.
Yeah. I mean, they were promising him 7 to 10% in dividends. And then, now some of these funds are defaulting. So he's feeling very burned, 1, by the stock market, 2, by alternative investments. And, they're in their 70s. At this point, they want to retire, and they want to know that everything that they have coming in is making a reasonable rate of return without risking their principal in the stock market. So when we came up with a plan, we sat down and we looked at, well, let's do a laddered approach. We use some shorter term investments for their liquidity needs in the near future, whether it's money market funds, short-term CDs. And then we looked at more longer term, such as structured notes, which we use, which are usually about 13-month or 18-month in duration. Those allow you to participate in the stock market without subjecting your principal to losing money in the market. So you invest in something like the NASDAQ or the S&P, and they contractually tell you that they'll pay you a certain rate of return if at the end of that period the stock market is up. But if the stock market is down, they pay you back your principal. So that's one option.
But that's, I mean, the fact is those things are, and I'm doing the air quotes of the, the guarantee that we're kind of alluding to here. CDs are insured by the federal government, right? So that's the security you have there. Insurance, right, is insured by whatever insurance company, and structured notes are insured by whatever company issued the structured note. So if you're going to buy one, you don't want to buy one from Harry's structured note shop. You want to buy one from somebody reliable, or at least presumed to be reliable, like the big boys, like a Goldman Sachs or
RBC.
JP Morgan's, or RBC, somebody that has the financial wherewithal to withstand and actually has capital reserves to make that guarantee that they're making on a structured note, because it's only as good as the guarantee of the company that can actually pay it.
Exactly. And when we're looking at fixed index annuities as well as multi-year guarantee annuities that have a fixed interest rate, again, we want to look at insurance companies that are B+ or above rated. They're not some junk bond insurance company paying you a 5% fixed interest rate. So we sat down and basically created a laddered approach for the short term, intermediate term, and longer term needs for him to make that 5%. And same thing, he was tired of the stress of having to worry about, is my principal going to be guaranteed? Is the stock market going to perform? At this point, we just want to outpace inflation and have enough money to do what he wanted to do in retirement. So we sat down and did that and came up with a solution that fit him. And he was shocked that we didn't recommend the stock market. We didn't recommend alternative investments or a dividend portfolio. So if you want to work with an advisor that actually listens to what you have to say and listens to your goals in retirement, give us a call, 866-597-1040. Again, 866-597-1040. Or go to our website, thesavvyinvestorradio.com. Click on the portfolio x-ray, the risk analysis. We're going to look at how much income you need in retirement, how much risk you're currently taking, how much risk that you need to not be taking to achieve your goals in retirement. Sit down with Mike, Ryan, the team, and myself here at ProStatus. Give us a call, 866-597-1040, and we'll create a plan that takes the least amount of risk possible to reach your goals.
Again, 866-597-1040. If you've saved $500,000 or more for retirement, that's where you're going to see the power of planning really start to kick in when it comes to taxes, when it comes to income, when it comes to your 401k. Let's sit down and get it all together with what we call a complete retirement plan. Again, it is 866-597-1040 or our website, which is thesavvyinvestorradio.com. That's 2 V's on Savvy. And that is all the time that we have on today's show. We thank you so much for listening. And Mike, another great show, another great weekend.
This is Katherine Groce. Thank you for listening to the Savvy Investor Podcast.
And this is Mike Canet. We'll see you, the Savvy Investor, next week.
Advisory services offered through ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, a registered investment advisor. Insurance licensed in Maryland. ProStatus Financial Advisors Group, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if ProStatus Financial Advisors Group is licensed in your state, please call 410-863-1040. ProStatus Group, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through representatives of ProStatus Financial Advisors Group.